Hello, my friends, and welcome back. As you probably already know, there is a Davos conference taking place, and where world leaders and important politicians, business people, military personnel, high shots are discussing what's going to happen, and they went on this planet and they have some of these meetings televised, so we can look at them, and the mass media covers them. So in this case, we have a little problem because, as for instance, Putin before this gentleman said certain things during Davos that were not really positive or good that everybody was expecting. In this case is Henry Kissinger. Is the former Secretary of State and National Advisor, Security Advisor under former President Nixon and former President Ford. He's a Nobel Peace Laureate, and is covered. I'm going to tell you why. What do I mean by being covered? So this article comes from the Insider from May 24th, 2022, and this is the title. Kissinger says Ukraine must give up land to Russia. Again, Kissinger says Ukraine must give land to Russia, warns West not to seek to humiliate Putin with defeat. I heard that being told by someone else about a week and a half ago, and then you heard the Ukrainians picking their pitchforks and torches and looking for the person at the Elysee Palace in Paris area. Who's that? Macron. So, but Macron is not covered. Kissinger is covered. And what do I say by that? Kissinger obviously has a long history of being involved in smart logic, everything that you want. He played his part here and there. Here and there, he had to play a part, but he's recognized as being an authority in the matter. And it's covered, and I don't think that the mass media or the forces that would disagree with what Mr. Kissinger stated could attack him in that way. But we have examples where there are people who we thought they were covered, and they lost their coverage. And I would mention Norman Finkelstein or Finkelstein. Check that guy out. I had the honor to meet this gentleman. Obviously, how should I put it? I was honored to meet this gentleman. The other one would be Noam Chomsky, and the other one would be Howard Zinn. All these three people, we thought they were covered, but they were not. And then Finkelstein, unfortunately, he got with another covered individual, Dershowitz, Alan Dershowitz, who eventually took care of certain stuff. And Norman Finkelstein lost tenure at his university. Some people claim it was the influence of Alan who had that happen, but who knows. So Henry Kissinger said Ukraine must be prepared to give up territory to Russia in peace talks. He warned of the risk of escalation unless the peace negotiations start in the next 2 months. Ukraine has angrily rejected the suggestion that it could give up territory. Rightly so. Who wants to do that? You know what I mean? But you look at the situation in the field, and what are your options? At one point, a decision must be made, unless you think you're going to be fighting forever. Henry Kissinger said that Ukraine must concede territory to Russia to end the war, and warned the West that a humiliating defeat for Russia could result in wider destabilization. The legendary statement, now 98, made a comment in a conference at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, Monday, reported by Daily Telegraph. Kissinger was the architect of that's a different story, and this is what he said. Negotiations need to begin in the next 2 months before it creates upheaval and tensions and will not be easily overcome. Ideally, the dividing line should be a return to the status quo ante, A-N-T-E, ante. Kissinger said, and I'm quoting again, pursuing the war beyond that point would not be about the freedom of Ukraine, but a new war against Russia itself. Status quo ante means how things were before. Kissinger's comments imply that Ukraine should accept a peace deal to restore the situation on February 24, where Russia formally controlled the Crimea Peninsula and informally controlled part of the Donetsk region in East Ukraine. Ukrainian officials have angrily opposed the idea and they should give up any territory. Ukraine President Zelensky has said Ukraine would only accept Russia giving up all claims to land in Ukraine and staging a total withdrawal. Kissinger's comments echo a New York Times editorial last week, which argued that Ukraine should accept it would have to make territorial concessions for a peace deal. And then we have here the article prompted a rebuttal response from Mikhailo Podolyak, an advisor to Zelensky who was involved in the initial peace talks with Russia, which failed to produce any results. Some said he was taken by this collar by some people from Great Britain, and he said, "What are you doing?" So nevertheless, that's one. And then Kissinger, in his remarks, said that Russia had been an essential part of Europe for 400 years, helping balance the power structure at crucial times, reported the Telegraph. He argued that the West should not risk pushing Russia into closer alliance with China. How close? Having sex? They're already in bed. You know what I mean? So he argued that the West should not risk that. It's and I'm quoting, "I hope the Ukrainians will match the heroism that they have shown with wisdom," end quote, he said, adding the Ukrainians' proper place was a neutral buffer state rather than a fully integrated part of Europe. Oh my, this is not good what this guy is saying. In recent months, cracks have been showing in the Western alliance against Russia's aggression, with isolationist Republican lawmakers in the US opposing a $40 billion aid package to Ukraine and Hungary, attempting to stop the oil embargo on Russia. As inflation creeps up, public opinion to the war may also increase. Yeah, you think, yes, that's what's going to happen, because they're going to be hungry, they're going to be cold, they're going to have a little bit less than they had a day ago, and that will make them yell, because that's how people are in general. You give up. It's more painful to give up something that you already had than being denied something. So I don't have a Mercedes. Okay, no big deal, But if you have a Mercedes and you lose it, oh no, that's a big deal. So the same here. Well, we'll see how they're gonna attack Kissinger, unless the signs were already pointed to that by other points of power, and Kissinger is mere the megaphone, that is, the speaker. And they cannot really attack him because he is Zelensky is prime minister of Ukraine is Zelensky is Chomsky is you know what I mean? So you see the pattern. I'm just making that. So they could not really attack this guy. He's got too much, and he's 98. So probably say, we're not going to see you next year. Why did you come this year? You should, these kind of things. But he's there. He's a authority on the matter, and we'll see how much these guys will dare to oppose him and say, okay, you're a little bit gone or something, but Biden is not. You know what I mean? Because you're 98, maybe you're losing it. We never know what these guys are going to say, because they can say whatever. They just have to be told, do it, and they will do it. They have no... All right. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.